This episode contains strong language and discussion about body image which some viewers may find distressing. The information shared in this episode is based on personal research and experience. If you've been affected by the themes in this video, remember you're not alone and support is available. Please check the links in the description for help.
We talk about people being healthier and stronger and fitter and wanting to get into the gym. How do you expect them to enter one of the most scariest places in their life when they haven't even got a nice gym kit to fit them?
Yeah.
When you're going in and seeing girls considerably smaller than you in lovely little matching two pieces or, you know, lovely little leggings that fit them properly. And I just think it's the most discouraging thing on the planet. And it's really, really frustrating.
Hello! Welcome! Come in, gorgeous. Make yourself comfy cozy. My love. Emily.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming and having this chat. I am so excited to be sat here with, no big deal, an Olympic medal-winning weightlifter. We're going to dive all into body image and your journey. Can we start by going back to when you first became aware of your body image? Was there a moment in your childhood where you suddenly felt a way about how you looked?
Yeah, most definitely. I think when I was a kid, I've always been into sport, like loads of different sports. But swimming was one for me. And I think first of all, it was swimming's a very white populated sport. So then when you're going in and your skin looks different to everybody for a start, you're different. And then I've always been a bigger kid than everybody else, always been taller. My dad's 6'2", he's got sisters 6'3", 6'4". So I've always been bigger. And my mum used to have moments where she was sat in the crowd at like swimming galas and she would hear parents like whispering to each other like, there's no way that kid's 11, there's no way that kid's 10 or whatever. And mum sat there like, yeah, she is, do you know what I mean? But then it's, you know, you kind of get aware of those kind of things. I think my mum was very good at like not sheltering me from it, but you know, making sure I knew enough but not too much, if you know what I mean. Because obviously when you're a kid you don't need to be known for all that, but then you can't be completely clueless to what's going on around you. So I think that was the first like moment for me that I then came aware of my body and the fact that, oh, why am I bigger than everybody else, and why maybe is my belly a little bit bigger than everybody else's, and why am I taller than everyone else, and why does my skin look so different? So yeah, I think that was probably the first moment for me that I was a bit like, oh, okay, maybe I'm a lot different to other people. But I think it was just because I was in a space where I looked a lot different from people.
I mean, first of all, messed up that it was parents
Yeah.
making those comments. So would you say that you had like a good body image before that? And then how did it make you feel when you became aware that those comments were being made?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I was, you know, incredibly lucky in the fact that my mom's white, but she, you know, made us embrace our, you know, Black heritage and culture so much, you know, telling me my hair was beautiful all the time and, you know, always doing it in little styles and beads, and she taught herself how to do our hair and stuff and whatever. So I think I grew up, you know, seeing myself as a beautiful little girl, you know what I mean? Like she made me feel, both me and my sister made us feel like that. And my dad too, you know, they made us, you know, really feel like we was. And then I think, yeah, when I went into that space of swimming, when I realised I was different and, you know, the comments and stuff and whatever, it does make you, you know, want to straighten your hair or, you know, maybe be a little bit smaller or whatever so that you can kind of fit in. And I think that was a message I learned for myself, that don't go to places you're not appreciated, because I realised that it depended on what space I was in. I knew I felt the most comfortable when I was being myself and my hair was curly and my hair was braided down and I had long exotic nails on and all these kind of things. I knew that's where I felt comfortable. And then I knew that when I went to swimming to try and adapt myself to make myself feel better, because I looked like everybody else and I would fit in with them, that I wasn't so happy. And I think at that time I didn't know it, but then when I got older, I was like, you just go to places where you're appreciated and where people want you to be. Don't go to places where you don't feel like it because you're in the wrong place. So I think it definitely does affect you. It definitely does change your mindset. But I think at the time, maybe when I was at swimming, I was just like, I'm just going to make sure I'm a better swimmer than everyone else. Because then everyone don't think about what I look like or whatever. I'm a good swimmer, so people can't deny it when you're good at what you do. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, I kind of ploughed it into my performance and was just like, I'm going to be a really good swimmer. I'm going to be quicker than everyone else. I'm going to be better than everyone else. I'm going to train harder than everyone else. So then the coaches love me because I train hard. Then it takes away from the fact that actually you look different.
I feel like that's a theme throughout your like life and career and journey.
100%. Yeah, because even coming into the weightlifting world, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, there'd been other, you know, black lifters and stuff and whatever. But you know, there was always this like thing where I used to do my hair really crazy and, you know, obviously makeup and stuff and whatever. And I was just like, well, as I got better, I was like, well, I'm the best lifter here by far. I can do what I want. All of a sudden, when you're really good at what you do, people can't really tell you anything because you're really good at what you do.
I love that confidence.
Yeah, and I think also what helps massively as well, my dad's Jamaican. I'm massively in that kind of culture. And, you know, being a bigger lady and being curvy and being whatever is massively celebrated. A lot of the guys that I'm into and whatever, they like the body that I have. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I just think, you know, you are going to be celebrated where you're wanted. And if you're not celebrated there, it's because you're not wanted there. So you don't need to be there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think within, like, obviously within our culture and whatever, it is a thing. And within weightlifting as well, it's really funny because people like always laugh, but like, you know, when you get skinny in weightlifting, you get stick for it, because in weightlifting, you want to be the strongest person that you can be. That's our sport. You want to lift as much weight as you can and you want to be strong. So you're perceived like somebody might actually look really healthy and someone makes a joke like, oh, you look like you need a sandwich. Like, you know, because in our sport, it's so embraced for you to be strong and to eat and not to restrict yourself and not to feel like you've got to, do you know what I mean? Unless you're cutting for a competition. Like for us, it's like be strong as possible, eat as much as you can, get those gains. That's really celebrated. So I think along with my culture and the sport, that's why I think I've probably been fueled to be so confident within my body.
And that's like the opposite of the predominant message that women get outside in society.
Correct.
Wow. So you came into weightlifting at 21, is that right?
Correct, yeah.
At that time, before you came in, did you have any preconceptions about weightlifting? Were you like nervous about trying it as a woman?
Not really, because I kind of seen women around me doing it. And obviously I absolutely love the Olympics since I've been, you know, so small. I remember watching weightlifting and thinking, oh, that's really cool. That's really, really cool. Obviously not knowing that, you know, maybe 4 odd years later that I would be, you know, starting it and trying it for the first time. But yeah, I think at first we're in weight categories. So weight comes into consideration straight away.
Yeah.
And I remember actually saying to my first coach, oh, what do I do? Like, do you need me to, and at this point, obviously I'm already tiny. I'm like, do you need me to cut more weight? Do I need to go in the class below or am I staying here? Because I was like in that borderline between the class of heavyweights and super heavyweights. So where you can weigh as much as you want.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, he gave me a very good answer. He just said to me, let's concentrate on the weightlifting first. Let's not bother about your weight. Let's just, you're not lifting enough to do anything at the moment. So let's just get our weights up and then we'll talk about weight. So I think that was a good thing for me, because then actually I was like, okay, if he said don't bother about my weight, then I shouldn't bother about it and I should just focus on lifting as much as I could. So that was a good focus, I think. And then, yeah, once I'd already been in the gym environment, so I was already used to lifting heavy weights and that kind of stuff. I think it was just more about learning the skill. And I think the skill was so hard that I kind of forgot about everything else around it. I was just concentrating on trying to perfect this skill as much as I could. But yeah, obviously I got a lot of comments, or are you sure you should be doing that? Or you was really good at athletics. Why are you going to start a new sport now? You're 21, blah, blah, blah. And lots of comments about, yeah, how my body's going to change and all of this and whatever. But I think the good thing about me, I've always been like, I don't really care about like other people. I've always done things for myself. And so I've always had that mentality of being the person that is kind of different. I think that I didn't realize until I've been older that actually me being different's been my superpower. And it's like helped me out and got me in places that, you know, other people could have never even dreamed of being, because I've just been who I wanted to be. It's not always amazing every single day. You don't wake up every single day and think, oh my God, I absolutely love my body. I love me. Like there's always those days where you're like, should I love me? Should I love my body? And you have to remind yourself why you do.
Yeah, you've been on such a journey, man.
Yeah.
And I think my memory of growing up, weightlifting for women was like an absolute no-go.
Right.
Like all the workouts that I was doing, the focus was only ever let's be small and toned and lean. Like I would do like exercise DVDs in my house for hours, and it was all like, don't touch a weight, just do like calisthenics. Like
you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger if you touch a weight.
Exactly.
But yeah, what is all of that this like, because you actually look back in history, right? You look back to the 20s, women were encouraged to be hench. Women were encouraged to go to the gym, lift weights, be hench. It was like a sign of wealth. It was a sign of like power. And then we've almost gone backwards and now showing everybody that they need to be like as small as possible. But then I think this also comes into the narrative of women in general, Like, we're kind of told to shrink ourselves, to be a little bit more quiet. Just stay in the corner. You've got your part. Just do your part when you're asked to do your part. Don't do anything too extra, all that kind of stuff. And that really annoys me. It really frustrates me, because I'm just like, there's space for all of us. They're just trying to tell us that there's not space.
Yeah.
I'm one of those. I'm very optimistic. I don't like to be pessimistic about things. And I do see there is a big shift in, women being encouraged to go into the gym and to, love their bodies and to work with what they work with. And I still do think we're moving in the right direction. I just think we have still a very long way to go.
For sure. And I think some of us, like myself included, we've had past negative relationships with the gym and like with working out overall. And there's like some healing that needs to take place. And also gyms like still can be not very welcoming environments for women, for bigger women. So as you said, like you started weightlifting, and at first it was don't worry about which weight class you're in, just focus on the craft. But then at a certain point, you did have to shift, didn't you? You did have to go up a weight class.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of women, even a lot of women in sport, if they were told you have to put on a significant amount of weight, it would freak them out, and they like maybe wouldn't even want to do it, because obviously we have all the societal pressure of be small, fit the beauty standard, and it's almost like you have to choose, right, between your like craft and society's opinion of who you should be. So how did you make that decision to choose the sport?
It is difficult, definitely. So there was, the weight classes was 75 kilos plus and then 75, and then they had a weight change and they changed it to 90 and 90 plus. And at the time I was probably 102 kilos, something along those lines. And I said to my coach, I was like, what do you want to do? And he said, obviously I would encourage you to put on weight and to go up. He said, but if you want to have a try and see if you can cut down to the 90 class, it means the girls won't lift as much. So if you can hold the weights that you're at now, it will give you a better chance to be world class. Blah, blah. So we gave it a go. I dieted for 3 months with a nutritionist. I got down to 100 kilos and I looked better than I'd ever been in my life, but I was miserable. I was hungry. It was horrible. And I remember coming to the gym and my coach, Dave, he's really funny. He's like really like northern guy. And he come in and he goes, what do you weigh today? And I went, 100 kilos. And he went, it's time to give up. And I was like, okay. And he went, you're going to go home, you're going to eat, and then we'll talk about this whole situation another day. And I was like, okay. So I went home, came back, he's like, right, you're going to be a super. That's the life. So basically when we say super, it means that you're whatever the number is. So at that time it was 90. You can weigh 90 kilos and above. So it's infinity. You can weigh as much as you want to. And he said, eat normally. We're not going to do anything crazy for now. I just want you to go back to how the way you was eating. We're going to train hard. And then we'll look at your weight and then we'll start making decisions. And I said, okay. And I mean, naturally, without even trying, I went on one all-inclusive holiday, came back, and I was 110 kilos. Cut a long story short, his plan was to get me to 130 kilos, but he just kept giving me tiny little targets each time.
Right, so you wouldn't
try and hit. Yeah. Because he said, if I came to you and said, we're going to go to 130, you would freak out and you wouldn't do it. He said, whereas if I just did you tiny little ones and you realise that actually, yes, your body's changing, but it's not changing that dramatically, you would be a little bit more on board with me. And we laugh about it now because obviously I'm in a space where it's, I've achieved what I've achieved and I thank him, wholly for what he's done for me. But yeah, it was a really space. And I think between around that 115 to 120 was probably the hardest space for me. That's when I realised that my clothes size had gone up, dramatically. And all of a sudden, I used to be able to walk in a shop and buy clothes. I can't do that anymore. I have to buy them online because I'm now classed as a plus size female.
Right, yeah.
I was a size 16, probably an 18 at the time when I was probably 100 kilos. I'm now a 20, 22. I'm like, oh, okay, this is strange for me. So yeah, it was a big journey for me, and there was times as well where, yeah, I felt like I was fat. Sometimes I did used to sit there and think, I'm just fat now. Like, what is this helping me with my performance? I'm just fat. But then I kind of got introduced with a little bit more like bodybuilding stuff. So some of the guys in the gym was like, bodybuild a little bit, it'll convert it, it will help you, whatever. It did. I bodybuilded a lot, started to trim out, started to lean out. And then I think when we started to get into the science of it, so now I have a fantastic nutritionist. I mean, she's more than nutritionist, she's physiologist, everything. She's incredible. But we have DEXA scans now, and we have like, you know, things where they look a little bit more about the body breakdown and whatever. And actually, when I have like DEXA scans, it works out that I'm like 30 or just under % fat. And actually, for a woman my size, that's pretty incredible to be able to hold. And now, you know, I sit around 130 odd kilos and very happy, very confident. Been a journey. But like, you know, I'm strongest that I've ever been, happiest that I've ever been. And yeah, when I look back on it now, I think I was belly aching about something that actually really wasn't that deep.
Interesting. But at the time, though.
Oh yeah, at the time it's hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard because people also notice as well. People always notice that your body's changing. And as well, unfortunately, whenever I get anything posted on social media, you see, I'm very lucky in the fact that my positive comments outweigh my negative comments. But I do get negative comments. It doesn't matter who you are or how great you are. There is, you know, particularly a lot of men that feel like it's their space to let you know that they don't think your body's impressive, like you asked them. And honestly, and it's, you know, you could be doing anything like, and well, I mean, we've noticed this on social media, haven't we? That, you know, somebody with hardly any clothes on would get more likes than somebody doing something really impressive. And that's obviously the sad reality of our culture, like culture and society now. But yeah, you will still get men that the only thing they can comment on, I could be cleaning 160 kilos, and the only thing they can comment about is how many burgers they reckon I've eaten, or how I'm just about lifting my own body weight. And it's like, I'm not 160 kilos, mate. Like, you know, take 30 off. Give me something. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I do think that at the time when I first went into the, you know, eye line of the media and stuff, and when people knew who I was, that was quite hard to digest.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my mum more than anything. My mum used to get so upset all the time. She used to cry. Why has this person wrote this? And I'm going to reply. And I said, Mum, you have to ignore them. Like, you know, it's just, that's what they want. They want to get a rise out of you. You know, they're being horrible. They're obviously horrible people because they've took time out of their day to do this. But I saw it affect her more than it affected me.
That's
and I think that was hard because it was like, how do I explain to her that I'm okay? Because she feels like that. She thinks that I must feel like that. And obviously you do have moments where you do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, it's hard when you see your mum trying to, you know, fight your little battles.
Oh, bless her. What's mum's name?
Linda.
Shout out Linda.
Shout out Linda.
Shout out Linda. She got
Poor
you.
woman.
And I feel like with a lot of the online comments, I mean, for me, in my experience, as like a mid to plus size girly with a belly, a lot of the negativity I get is health concern trolling. Like, you know, people pretend to be concerned about your health, make those little comments.
Try and dress it up.
They don't care. They do not get, like, if they cared about my health, babes, ask me how I slept. Ask me how my stress levels are. Do I smoke? Do I drink? Like, am I moving? Am I taking care of myself? But they just want to make a comment about the way you look, dress it up under, I'm concerned for your health, and put it out there. And you must get a lot of that, which is wild because you're literally an Olympian. Like, babes, you want to talk about health? That is so backwards. How do those comments feel for you when people pretend to like be concerned for your health? Oh yeah, you have to laugh at them. They are funny because I just think I would love to invite all of them to just come and do one training session with me. Bearing in mind I train twice a day. So I have a pre-warming like session in the morning, which will have some form of technical exercise, and then it will be like accessories, bodybuilding, that kind of stuff, which will also include a bike session as well. And then in the afternoon, I'll come back and I'll do my heavy stuff. So I probably get 3 to 4 hours in between those sessions to go home, sleep, then eat, and then come back again. So I'd love to invite them maybe just to even my afternoon session, just to see if they would survive. And probably with half the weight, they wouldn't survive, you know? And it's really funny where they're like, oh, it's just not healthy and it's not this and it's not that. And it's like, you know, we have our bloods, we have our vitals checked, we have everything checked. Like, you know, if there was a concern with my health, then, you know, we only get one body, we only get one life. I would address it. No, you know, medal in the world or no, you know, championship or titles or records would make me risk my health. You know, if my health was really at risk, I would definitely address it. So, but yeah, thanks for the concern, and yeah, thanks for Meg's concern as well. But she's totally fine too. Good.
So
we're good, babes.
Yeah, we're absolutely fine.
But I think also it's because we, you know, we have such a narrow idea of what health is. largely because we've been brainwashed into thinking that BMI is the be all and end all of everything when it's outdated, inaccurate, incomplete.
So bad. But it is very hard as well because, medical professionals still heavily believe in BMI. There's some that have wised up to it and realised. I did, so I launched a campaign to get Britain stronger because I feel like, again, the focus is on cardio, running, this, that, all the time, when actually there's heaps and heaps and heaps of research that shows that strength training can help every single age group in some way, shape or form. No one's asking you to deadlift massive weights or whatever. Someone's saying do some form of resistance training, some form of strength training will help you massively and help you age better. And I spoke to one of the guys where I spoke at a conference, and he came up to me and he said, I'm a qualified doctor. We spend 4.5 hours on physical activity in our whole 7-year course.
What?
4.5 hours.
What?
That's not even a day.
On physical
activity.
Physical activity.
Bearing in mind how many diseases, illnesses can be prescribed with physical activity is insane. But still, and I went for a dermatology appointment. I've always struggled with acne in my skin and stuff and whatever. I went for a dermatology appointment, and she's typing away on a computer, and she looks at me and she went, I think you need to go and get a blood test for diabetes. And I was like,
sorry, what did you go in for?
Sorry? I went in for the spots on my face, and you just took one look at me and you judged. I said, I have my bloods done at Team GB. Just trying to help her out a little bit, just trying to give her something. And she was like, yeah. So are you going to have them done anytime soon, or do you want me to book you in with them doctors? Like, completely dismissed me. And I was just like, you've just took one look at my size and just assumed that I'm unhealthy and I've got diabetes.
Right. How many of your thin patients do you tell to go get a diabetes check?
Yeah. So if this is what we're working with within the medical system, it's going to be a very hard thing to, wipe out this BMI. And I mean, even another experience, my sister used to be an international swimmer for Jamaica. So yeah, I'm not sure how my parents managed it, but 2 elite athletes.
Yeah.
She was swimmer from very, very young. She was fantastic. And she swam, and they'd done the historic test that they do in year 6 where they measure your kid and whatever. And they send a letter home with a BMI because it said to the parent of my sister's name. She thought it was a letter for her. You get excited at that age, don't you?
Yeah.
You're what, 9, 10? You got your first mail. It's exciting stuff. She's opened it, and it basically said, your child is obese. Bearing in mind, my sister was training probably 5-6 times a week at this point. Like, she was swimming training before school. My parents were picking her up, taking her to school. She's swimming training after. Really healthy kid. And that absolutely broke her heart. And my parents had to set her down and try and explain to her that she needs to carry on doing what she's doing. She's fine. My mum was absolutely seething. Whoever the teacher was that day when my mum went to school, I do pray for them because she was seething. But how damaging that was for her as a kid, at 10 years old, to be told you're obese because we're still using this outdated system. There's so many other ways that you can measure young kids, and I'm in agreement, right? It starts at the bottom. We have to get the kids healthy from, and there's not kids that are growing up in healthy households, right? We have to think about it. We have to think about the economic crisis. But just doing a test and sending it home and saying, oh, your kid's overweight is just wild to me. But yet we still, as a nation, are so hooked on this whole BMI thing. And it affects people. Like, I was in the pharmacy the other day, and the woman said that she has people that come in that look perfectly healthy asking for this new weight loss drug, the epidemic and whatever. And there's a girl from Nottingham, actually, Bethany Lord. She's like an online coach. And she'd done a video basically talking about the risks of these weight loss drugs. Not saying don't use them, just saying know what you're getting yourself into, know the risks of it, know that, you can't just do this on your own as well. Like, you have to actually change the way you eat. You have to go to the gym. You can lose a lot of muscle mass while you're on these things. Like, really just be aware. And the amount of attacks she's got for it, it works though. It works because as a nation, we're showing people the easy way outs of things instead of showing people that you actually have to work hard. It's hard to be overweight and it's hard to be unhealthy, but it's also hard to be fit and to be, in control of your body. You've got to pick which hard you want because it's not easy either way. And by telling people that there's easy fixes to achieving these things, I think is really, really dangerous. Yes, there might be a way to help you and guide you, but ultimately, there's no thing. I don't believe in diets. I don't believe in anything like that. I believe in making sure that you're healthy and sticking to something and changing the way that you think about things in your lifestyle.
hard relate, because whenever I bring up GLP-1s, Ozempic, all of them, like, I also get a lot of backlash, and that's from like a body positive person. And I'm saying, guys, can we question the impact that this is having on us as a culture? This like new, well, this rewind idolization of thinness that I thought we'd left behind back there. But people are so quick to defend, like you said, these quick fixes. I think because there's so much hope in them. Like, people spend their whole lives trying to change their bodies and thinking they're only going to be good enough once they look a certain way. And then when these supposed miracles come along, people invest so much hope and they want to jump on it because they want that to be the thing that's like finally going to help them feel better about their body. And my thing has always been, how you feel about your body is not necessarily going to change if your body changes, because self-esteem and positive body image, it's not a quick fix if you change your body. You can look in the mirror after you've done all of that. I did. I lost so much weight and I got to like the goal weight that I always thought was going to make me so happy. Looked in the mirror, hated myself. So it's internal.
Absolutely.
You know, the work, the real work to accept yourself.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. We'll click to that one.
Thanks, babe. Let's go back to the comments that you get. You said you get a lot of comments from men that's about how you look and about your appearance. Does it ever feel like these record-breaking, incredible achievements that you've done, does it feel like they almost get overlooked or like reduced down to comments about how your body is?
Yeah, most definitely. I think sometimes, I think some, because it does make me think, you've watched that and that's the only thing you've got out of that video that you've just watched of me doing something pretty cool. So yeah, sometimes you do think, wow, like blows your mind to think a lot of the time, I mean, a lot of the time it's people outside of the weightlifting and strength space. I mean, you do get the odd ones that are in it that still, you know, I think a lot of the time the ones that are in it, they're just sad because they don't lift as much. So they probably just do it to make themselves feel a little bit better. But then also the ones outside of it, you know, it's just, uneducated. And yeah, it is pretty sad. It also goes back to that like era of like, you know, with certain like media and broadcasting, right? It's when they ask women the most stupidest questions. It's like, I don't know if you've seen, they did like I can't remember who did it, but they did a thing where they asked the same questions they asked female athletes to male athletes. And people like Roger Federer basically told them to F off because it was the most ridiculous questions.
What kind of stuff did they
like,
ask?
what, talk us through your outfit today. Stand up, give us a twirl. Federer's like, what? You all right? Like, do you know what I mean? Looking at them as if to say like that, but these are real life questions that media will ask women. Talk us through the thought of your outfit today. It's like, yeah, obviously I want to look good while I'm out there, but can't lie, there was other things I was thinking about. It's like,
you see that record I just broke?
Yeah. I mean, it was really sweet actually. I remember the Olympic Games, I had one guy and he was like, I don't obviously normally ask about the hair, Emily. He said, but the hair is too amazing not to ask about, so I hope you don't mind. And I was like, that's the kind of question that you want. You want not a focus on it, but the fact that you've acknowledged it. Do you know what I mean? And obviously there were a lot of time and effort was put into my hair, and it was pretty cool for the Olympics. So shout out Lisa Farrell always for hooking me up.
I feel like a strong woman, physically and otherwise, can be very, very threatening to a fragile male ego. Oh,
absolutely.
And that's what those comments are.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what it tends to be most of the time. Because like I said, within the weightlifting community, obviously a lot of the men in the weightlifting community are strong men. So they've got their own thing going on and they're actually inspired and, you know, they're allies to us because they're impressed by what we do, because they also know how hard it is as well. Like, 'cause they do it themselves day in, day out. So that's why you tend to get so much support from the weightlifting community and everyone kind of backs each other. And it just tends to be that outer community that's not in our space. And that's why I always say, obviously I'm always going to big up my sport and I'm always going to give it. But I always say that, like, it is one of the safest spaces to enter, I would say, the weightlifting world, because if you could do a snatch and a clean and jerk, you've automatically got people's respect because everyone knows how hard it is.
You're speaking another language. What is that?
So a snatch is the first movement that we do within weightlifting, which is the wide grip, which you take it from the floor and put it straight above your head.
Yeah.
And then a clean and jerk is the narrower grip onto the chest, jerk above the head.
Yeah.
So once you could do the weightlifting movements, you've already got respect from people because everybody knows how hard it is to even just perform it, never mind even, put weight on, to just even be able to do it with a bar. So I think that is the nice thing within the weightlifting community, that you're accepted and you'll find in general in Britain, it's so competitive as a woman to make a British Championships. You have to be like really on top of your game. Qualifications for internationals have gone through the roof now because we're having multiple girls qualify within the same weight classes. You can only take 2 females to an international per, so like a World Championships or a European Championships, you can only take 2 per class. You can only have a full quota of 10. And we've got girls now absolutely fighting for those spots to be on there. That's the reality of being a British female right now within weightlifting, which is very exciting for us. And also, I went to our age group championship. So this is kiddies, right, from under 10 up to under 23. And we have got little girls everywhere.
Aww.
Everywhere, which is such a beautiful thing to see. Like, it's so inspiring to see. And it's really nice now to see that parents are encouraging their little girls to go and do weightlifting and to be a part of it.
That's lovely.
So as all the negative that we talk about, we have got some really, really strong little girls coming up. And yeah, we had to split our youth and junior camps. So our youth and junior national camps, we split them now because there's too many girls to be able to mix them. So there is some positive coming out of all this.
That's so heartwarming because, you know, I don't know about you, but like when I was a little girl, you just had the narrative of like, be small, be quiet, be a princess, you'll be saved. And I feel like that, little girls getting more into weightlifting is fully like, no, you will save yourself. You will be strong enough to save yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is the most beautiful thing, that you have conversations with them and they just want to be strong. And to have that conversation with a little girl at 10, 14, etc. is a really heartwarming thing. And I think that's why I do the stuff that I do, because I just think it's so important to show these girls that they have a space to do this, they have a space to be accepted and to be strong, and, you know, also to try and show them that it's possible to achieve the things that I've achieved as well, you know.
Now, I know you've worked with a few brands, a few activewear brands. For me personally, like in the content creator space over the years, there have been many brands who have approached me for a collab, and then I look on their website and they don't even make my size. And I'm like, what? That's wild.
Yeah.
What?
Thank you for that, Megan, because sometimes I think people think I'm talking about it just because it affects me. And I don't think they realize how many women, especially in this country, it affects. You know, for you to go onto a site and think, oh, their clothes look cool, and then not have your size. And then they're not interested in making that right. They're just going, okay, cool, on to the next.
Right.
I think that's the most frustrating for me. And that's why, obviously, we're not going to name any brands on this.
Well, you can if you want.
But, you know, I have called out brands in the past. I've been very vocal about these things because, like I said, if it's not affecting you directly, people don't realise that actually it's a problem. And I have had brands before as well that want to do things with me, and I'm like, well, launch an extended size range or whatever. No, thank you. We're good. We're okay. And I'm like, I just don't get it. The average size in the UK is a 16.
Exactly.
Last time I checked. This may have raised, you know, but most gym kits go to 14, 16. It's like, how can you literally only cater for the top end of your average size?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. You are missing a massive population. And the thing is as well, it's like, you know, we talk about people being healthier and stronger and fitter and wanting to get into the gym. How do you expect them to enter one of the most scariest places in their life when they haven't even got a nice gym kit to fit them? Yeah. When you're going in and seeing girls considerably smaller than you in lovely little matching 2-piecers or, you know, lovely little leggings that fit them properly. And I just think it's the most discouraging thing on the planet. And it's really, really frustrating. And again, obviously with, you know, sizes, it's really funny when I take my sister out. She's so protective of me, and like we'll go to a store and she'll be like, what size do you got to? And they'll go 18, and she's like, rude. And it's like, let's go. And we just walk straight out, and I'm like, what just happened?
I love that.
But she does all the time, like, and my sister is literally a size 8, do you know what I mean? Like, but she's just so protective of me, and like, but she's also like, I just don't understand it. Like, I just don't understand. And it's really frustrating when a brand does your size, but then you go in store and they go, well, no, sorry, you can only get that online.
Yeah.
It's like, we're just going to take the privilege away from you being able to shop in a physical shop and try things on because we don't want to stock it in our store.
And again, that's something that has gone backwards definitely in recent years, because what I feel like at the height of the body positive movement, there was more plus size representation. Stores were extending their sizes.
Yeah.
And they've kind of just quietly, like over the last few years, just taken that collection away, and that's only online now.
I think it's like what's happened after COVID. I think COVID was a very woke period for everyone, wasn't it?
Okay.
It opened everybody's eyes a little bit, the whole Black Lives Matter movement. You know, a lot of people were speaking about things that were passionate about, LGBTQ. There was a lot of things, and then businesses felt the pressure to be better. And then what they've realised is, okay, everyone's not really talking about it that much more, not making that much noise. So, okay, we'll remove that, we'll remove this, we'll remove that. So then we can go back to how we was before.
Right.
We've shut them up, basically.
Yes.
And that's what they want to do. They just want to shut people up and then hope that the noise goes away and then they can return to normal business. It's not like we want to make these changes for life and we want to actually implement and do the right thing. It's just like, we just want to quiet the noise down, which is really frustrating. And I feel like it's the same for brands, like fashion brands, clothing brands.
Just performative.
Yeah. Just this kind of stuff. And it is frustrating. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, my CEO won't mind me saying this because I've had this conversation with him before and you know, he wasn't in power when, you know, British weightlifting, this kind of happened. But, you know, I have been on an international team for 9 years, probably now of my career, probably just under. And I have never, ever received a set of women's kit that fits me properly.
Whoa.
I've always had to put with men's kit because we've always signed with brands or been with brands that just don't go up to my size. So, or you'll just have to have a men's XL instead, or you just have to have a men's double XL. But the cuts are completely different. And it's like things like sports bras and stuff, like the girls will get nice sports bras, they'll get this to match and they'll get nice little crop tops for training or whatever. But I have to deal with the men's baggy t-shirt or the horrible tracksuit bottoms because they don't have my size. And, you know, it is frustrating and it is upsetting as well.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah, it is. It is disrespectful.
It's saying that you're not deserving of like being kitted out when of course you are, because you're an athlete just like the rest of them.
Right. That's it. And if anything, I'm on the biggest stages in the world representing my sport. I've got the most, you know, cameras, eyes on me all the time. And I can't wear my national kit with pride because it's not what I'm meant to be wearing. I was
going to say, do you think for certain brands, they have that perceived image of the person who they want to be seen wearing their brand?
Oh,
and that's like a fatphobic image a lot of the time.
Absolutely, because they don't want the backlash. They don't want the people the horrible people that do make the comments and like especially some some activewear brands, they've built a certain like fans and cohort and following that buy their stuff. And, you know, sometimes it's like very misogynistic men or, you know, people that believe women should look a certain way. So then if they bring in a model that doesn't fit that, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we might lose all of our customers because of that, because we're catering to something else. But then they also want to jump on the whole, we want to make every woman feel beautiful. We want to provide for everyone. We want to do this. We want to do that, because they want to have everyone. They want to have their cake and eat it, but they don't want to actually do the right thing for that.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably one of the most things that frustrate me the most, because I'm like, you know what, make kit for whoever you want to make kit for. I just won't purchase from you. I just won't make sure you eat at my table. That's calm. But then don't try and jump on this whole body positivity thing, body inclusivity and all this, that you want to be this when you are far from it. You're just doing it for the PR and the press.
Yeah.
That's what winds me up the most, I would have to say.
And there's literally brands that have campaigns that say, for all bodies, for all women. And then you look at it and it's like, oh, up to a size 16.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Forgot about the other bodies. We'll just bury ourselves. Don't worry about this. But yeah, I think for me, that's just got to be up there with the most frustrating thing. Yeah, because how do you even, you know, start, you know, loving your body and like you said, I believe in wholeheartedly, it's internally. Do you know what I mean? It's not about how you look. It's about you loving who you are. And I just think as a woman as well, your body is going to change so many times throughout your life. Like, where I don't think we're as lucky as men to kind of keep it, you know, as consistent as we want to. And let's be real, men, like, they miss a few meals and don't go gym. They might lose a little bit of weight and then they get back on it again and they're totally fine again. Whereas, you know, we are not the same in that, you know, we have to work a little bit harder. And I just think, you know, through childbirth and all the rest of it, our body changes and we have to learn to love each stage of our body. And if we keep telling people that they have to look a certain way or shrink down, no one's ever going to be able to go on that journey properly.
It's like you said, for these brands, one, they're missing out on business. There's massive money to be made. And the double standard of all the health concern trolling, all the, you know how important it is for everyone to exercise regardless of their size and shape, but you don't want to give them things to exercise in. It's just
Mind-blowing.
mind-blowing.
Mm.
Can we stop going backwards? Like, I feel like like I said, we had that moment, things were starting to get better, more inclusive, more representation. We got to keep pushing. And it's this frustrating thing right now of because of the thin is back in and Ozempic and all of that, that progress feels like it's being lost.
Yeah.
And like, this is such proof that we got to keep pushing.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. And this is also why I'm trying to do this campaign of Make Britain Stronger as well, because I just think the more we focus on that side of things instead of keep ramming down the throats that we need to be doing cardio and we need to be doing this and that. You know, the government's health guidelines are 20 minutes of strength training per week. That's hidden. It's been like tucked away. People don't even know it exists because we're so pushed by the 150 minutes of vigorous exercise a week or moderate exercise or whatever it is, that we think that that's the only thing that we should be doing. And I just think that everything starts with the top. Like, if it's filtered down from the top, then it's going to trickle down into people. And I just think by trying to do this from the top and trying to do this properly, that's going to encourage people to go to the gym and to do strength training and to just, you know, learn to just love the body that they're in and feel more empowered, because that's half of it. I think it's mental empowerment, which is half of the battle. Like, instead of actually going in and thinking, I'm going to go to the gym today because I need to change my body, I'm going to go in the gym today because it's going to make me feel better. I'm going to go home in a better mood. And then also as well, people are going to go home and go, well, I'm in a better mood now. I'm going to cook something really nice. You know, instead we're going home, oh, I'm tired, I can't be bothered, I'm just going to order a takeaway. Because it's all dependent on our mindset and our mood. Yeah. If we're in a better mindset, we make better decisions and we do better things that are going to, you know, we're going to thank our future self for. Do you know what I mean? I always do things where I go, you know what, I thank my past self for doing that because now I'm in a happy space. And so I think that that's why I'm trying to also do this campaign as well, to try and, you know, show women that, you know, if you just work really hard and, you know, do these things, you can improve so many aspects of your life.
What would you say to the women who maybe see that campaign and maybe they still have preconceptions about strength training and weightlifting?
That it's been proven time and time again, all these myths about it, you know, stunting your growth or making you massive or all this, they're all myths and they've all been disproven so many times that that's not going to help you. And everyone thinks that just by doing strength training that you have to go to a gym. That's not the case. If you're a little bit unwary and you don't want to, you can actually start strength training in your house. Everything weighs something, you know. Every time you sit up and get up off a couch, that's a squat. You don't know it, but it is. You know, you turn that into maybe doing 10 a day. You turn that into doing maybe lunges up the stairs, walking and holding things that are heavy in your house. Mothers, if you've got babies, they're weights. Like, they're heavy things that you have to carry, right? Yeah. You know, you decide, well, actually, I'm going to go, you know, do a few exercises with the baby. Like, you know, obviously don't throw your child in the air, but do you know what I mean? Like, there's things that you can be doing. Like, you can literally squat while you've got your baby in your arms. Do you know what I mean? It keeps them entertained for a little bit. There's so many things that you can be doing. Pilates, I'm a massive advocate for reformer Pilates. It's a very humbling thing. Let me tell you that for free. It's very humbling. Everyone thinks you go in there, have a nice time, swing your legs around.
No, it looks terrifying.
No, yeah. And if you want a laugh and realize how hard it is, type in men doing Pilates at the moment. That will make you realize how hard it is. And literally there's like big, massive gym bros in there like shaking because it's real hard work. You know, if you go in there, do it once a week. And what I love about it is 50 minutes of not thinking of anything. You just go in there and you concentrate on what you're doing. So you can forget about your whole day for just 50 minutes and just concentrate on you. It's you and the carriage and nobody else. That's a really nice space to be in mentally as well. So there's so many other things that you can do, bands, whatever. Even going for a walk, right? It's not focused on running as fast as you can or losing weight, right? Just going for a walk builds your strength by just taking it in your stride and going there. Yeah. And if you feel later, do you know what I mean? Well, I'm going to walk back from shopping. So then all of a sudden, shopping bags weigh something.
Carrying those beans
back.
Yeah.
Walking back with the shopping, you know. We all know nobody likes to do 2 trips from the car or whatever. So, you know, carry it all back at once. So there's so many things you can be doing. So I just want to reiterate to those women that you don't have to walk in the gym and know exactly what you're doing on a machine and pick up dumbbells or pick up a barbell.
That's very encouraging. I want to ask, what would you say to your younger self? Like the version of Emily who was swimming, you know, when those comments started from the parents. If you could go back and prepare younger Emily for like everything that's come in, what would you say?
I would always say just, you know, carry on doing what you're doing. Everything happens for a reason, and what you're doing now will shape your journey later on. Because there's a lot of things I think that, you know, I went through when I was younger that made me prepared for the life that I have now.
And you're prepared. Like, I feel like your self-love, your like sense of self is what comes across so much is like unshakable.
Yeah, because for me, one thing that I always swear by, it doesn't matter what you've achieved in this life, what you look like or who you are, everyone will always remember you for your contents of your character. Always. And if you're just a really horrible person, they're going to remember that you're a really horrible person. They might remember what colour hair you had, or they might remember what jeans you had on at the time, but they're going to remember the way that you made them feel. And I think if you're doing that in life and you're making people feel good, then you're good.
Emily, you're just incredible. I feel so inspired. I'm so grateful that you came here and for all the work you are doing. Like, thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for all the work you're doing too. And, you know, together we're stronger. So
yes!
We've got to keep pushing forward.
It's embarrassing. I'm going to put that down.
No, absolutely. Flex that bicep, girl. Flex it with pride.